Welcome to Vialet Studio, where Vialet and her guests share stories of their passions, inspirations, and spiritual journeys. Vialet creates a sacred and fun space for individuals to be able to share information about themselves, their work, and their community. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet. Vialet Rain.
Thank you and welcome to Violet Studio today. I am excited to have Becky, local here in Denver. We actually got to connect and meet Becky at Camp Experience, which is where women, professional women, gather to get inspired and do good things for good charities and just to support. So, Becky, thanks so much for joining me today.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad. The camp experience was amazing because I sometimes feel very alone in what I do. Mm-hmm. And so to be in a whole room of 100 or so women right on the same page as me, it felt really good and supportive. It was amazing, actually.
Yeah, I love Camp Experience. Me and my daughter have attended for a couple of years. I love having a weekend where her and I get to connect, and we get to connect with all these beautiful women that are doing amazing projects all over the world that really lifts you up and inspires you to see all the good things that are happening on this planet and world. So I love that. And Nikki attended your workshop there and got very inspired with your book and all that, and said, Mom, we have to get her on the show. So if you would today share with me your journey. What got you on this path? What brought you to where you are today?
Well, so I love this question because I guess when I look back, because it sounded to me like, what I know of you was that you all your life have been a channel and picking up and seeing things and a medium and a channel all your life. And I think I've just felt, I was very churchy at first, I guess is what I would call it at the time, where I sat in church. I grew up Catholic and we went all the time. And, I was very inspired. I liked listening and going to church and stuff. And one day the priest said, you might not feel like you're good at anything. And maybe your job is just to be the light. So that there's like a song that we used to sing, we are the light of the world, may our light shine before all, that they may see the good that we do and give glory to God. And, as an 8th grader, I just like, that touched my heart and opened my heart. Like, now I know my purpose. And I just sobbed. And, my whole family was looking at me like, what's wrong with you? So I couldn't even explain it. Afterwards, I was like, I don't know what's wrong. But what I knew at that point is that there was such a strong guide inside that was leading me to certain things. And it's almost like a constant seeker. I want to say I was like a constant seeker of the next book, the next certification, the next experience, the next healing modality that I could experience, all because I felt like there was something I was clamoring to fill up. And then I actually realized that I was exactly the way I was supposed to be to serve the people I was supposed to serve. And my seeking was like the universe's way of expanding through me. Because I kept, people were talking, like saying things to me, which at the time I cared what people were saying and what they thought. Why are you never content? You're never content. You're always trying to do the next big thing. You're always looking for the next thing. And I read something, I think it was Mike Dooley, that said, don't let your desire to seek, your need to seek, like, don't think that's wrong. It's like the whole purpose is for the universe to expand through you. And so that has given me kind of license to be okay doing this and going to another retreat and experiencing meditation and different types of meditation and different types of healing. And I love going to, have people read for me and all, to kind of validate what it is I'm doing. So I've just been doing this for actually quite a long time. And then in 2017, a friend of mine was talking to me she was telling me about her experience with plant medicine in Costa Rica. And my body was just like lurching. It's a reaction. I mean, it was like weeping again so strongly. And I was like, I even said to her, look at me, I'm a mess. I think I need to do this. I think this is one of those things that I need to do. Like on my pre-incarnation plan, it said that when I'm in this age, I'm going to go to do plant medicine in Costa Rica, or I thought in Peru, in Machu Picchu. And then I find out there's this place a lot closer, a lot cheaper, and more easily accessible. And so I did that. And in that space and in my ceremony, I essentially, it kind of takes away the veil, and the voice I was hearing was the voice I always hear, the voice that has been guiding me all along. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is my higher self. My higher self is what's been guiding me. That's the same voice I hear telling me what to do every day. And man, did that change everything for me. Because it wasn't, it's just like all of a sudden it's just a realization that we have these functions that help us navigate this world that are just automatic for us, but we don't pay any attention to it, or we don't know what it's called, or maybe we don't really acknowledge that it's there. And so that was cool. And ever since, I've been meditating more effectively and doing a lot better in my healing practice and just understanding the world in a much better way.
I love that. I love that, connecting. A lot of people come into the center and they're like, I'm not intuitive. I don't have connection. And I'm like, we all have it. You just don't recognize it. You think you're talking to yourself and you blow it off of, that's my voice. And so it's got to be me saying that. It's got to be me giving the information. And I don't know where that's coming from. So I'm not going to acknowledge it. Right. And so people are receiving information all the time. They're just not recognizing, acknowledging it, working with those energies. And so I love to tell people I'm not any more special than you are. I just pay attention more. I'm more aware. I'm more conscious in my day-to-day of what's going on around me versus where most people are what I call an autopilot, and they're letting their subconscious lead the way, right? And I want to be more aware. So I love that story of connection. And so talk to us a little bit on, as healers, and I understand so much, we all need healing. And some people believe, oh, I don't need that. I'm okay. I got it. So what do you tell people as a healer? Share with us a little bit about some of the healing that you offer and all of this.
I love this topic for sure. So this is an interesting thing. My actual healing process is learning about being a healer, because I did all sorts of modalities. Like if I heard of a new type of healing, I would just go book an appointment and do them all, trying to figure out, I do it and then I'd wait to see how it affected me. And then I do another one and see how it affected me. Same thing with certifications, so because I wanted to see how I'd level off after the experience to see if it made a difference. And actually, I think every single thing I did made somewhat of a difference by somehow, because like you have, you go into an experience and then you turn inward and kind of analyze, like watch for the signs, like what is this doing for me? What has it done? What's the shift being made? And if nothing else, that internal investigation is going to help that healing happen.
Right.
And so, but what happened is I learned how to do Reiki because I'd been getting Reiki for years. And I thought, I better find out what it is these ladies are doing. I have a team of 2 women that do Reiki and acupuncture on me every month. I've been doing it since 2010. And I decided I need to learn what is actually happening. So I took a bunch of classes and I took all the classes up through the master's piece. And I still didn't necessarily get what it was I was doing. And of course I was practicing and my cousin was dying. So I was doing Reiki on my cousin and I saw his body go to ash. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I saw it in my mind's eye and I knew he wasn't going to live. And I thought, well, what is my healing doing for him if he's not going to live? And so that's why I went to the Costa Rican place, that the plant medicine place, and asked what it is we do. And what I realized is that this beautiful energy that comes out of her hands, or was coming out of my hands, is actually just almost like they're mirrors to reflect back to the person their own capability of healing themselves. And almost like, this is your perfect, like if I use my hands to show a person their perfect state, then the body goes, oh yeah, okay. It's like you're doing something, you're a professional athlete and your coach says, hey, wait, if you do this differently, you'll have a better performance. And so you say, okay, I'll do it. And that's kind of like what I think happens when we do this. When I do a Reiki session or energy healing, is that I'm like showing the body, this is what you were, your original programming, I guess. This is your original programming. And then the body kind of slips back into shape and goes, oh my gosh, okay, you're right. I forgot. Because the subconscious programming gets in the way and shifts things and moves things and blocks things. And when we just say, hey, this is what you were originally scheduled for, or this is what your original plan was, then the body's like, oh my gosh, okay, I can do that. That's what I'm supposed to do. But we forget because, we set out to forget so that we could rediscover.
I love that. I love that. Well, I was reading your blog on your cousin and how you stepped into helping people that are dying through this process. And I loved in there what you said was, it's okay if you want to go home. No, when you're ready, you'll get to come back and do the process again, right? So talk to us a little bit about, because, a lot of people are curious, share your experiences with folks that are transitioning and how that's worked for you and for them.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Violet, this has been the best. This has been like the most wonderful thing I think I've been able to do. And just like you said, I am no special person. Somehow I was just open to learning how. And so I feel like Metatron, of all things, came in and taught me how, using sacred geometry. And so, it's kind of amazing. Like, I know that as people, first of all, people choose to die in mass because it's more, I want to say fun, which is a terrible word for this situation. It's much more comfortable. People opt for dying in mass, which is why we have weird groups of people that die. Like COVID has taken a lot of people. And because it's more comfortable, like they can do it and they know they're going to get somewhere in the right place, having gone through this. So that's an interesting thing. And what I end up finding out is like, somebody will move through the process. A lot of people are scared because they feel like they don't deserve to go to like what they consider heaven. And so there's a lot of like lingering souls who are afraid to go, or kids, maybe people, like the Catholic idea is that you baptize a baby because otherwise they won't go to heaven,
right?
Which is kind of a funny thing. But what happens sometimes is little tiny bitty, like little baby souls that die when they're younger don't know what to do. They don't know to watch for the signs of their people that have passed before them. And so I sometimes think they get lost in that space. And so I'm oftentimes called to bring those people too. But what happens normally when I'm helping somebody pass, I'll hear about somebody, and then that same day, it's usually like as soon as possible, that being is right next to me, like they're right here. And they're like, what's going on? How do I do this? What do you need to tell me? And I might not know their name. I might not know anything about them, but I'm like, totally what I mean. Like, that is who we're talking about. Like that soul signature comes in, you're like, oh, we were just talking about you. And then I help people understand about, what it means to shift into this new place. Usually we let go of, like, we process the aspect of forgiveness, which is internal to it's in a person's heart. All aspects of forgiveness, whether you're forgiving others, forgiving yourself, you receive forgiveness from somebody, all those things are processed in your own heart. So we do that. We allow all that doesn't serve to move out, kind of like a welcoming the lessons of our life, and hope that we got those lessons and kind of secure those and anchor those so that we don't have to learn those lessons during a next trial or whatever, next time. It's not the best word to say trial, but the next go round, I guess. And then we kind of take them through, they go through the process. And I usually tell people about the whole life review, because most people have heard about a life review. But the brilliant thing is we think about it being like you're going to answer for your sins and you're going to, see how the crappy things you did affected people and all that. Like it seems so negative. But the beautiful thing is it's outside of our body, and our body is the emotional detector. So when you are experiencing this out of your body, you see it as the information that led to other information. So you see how your experience here on earth was a beautiful, necessary thread in the tapestry of life in so many amazing ways, even if you were the person that hurt somebody. Because generally when somebody's hurt, they shift in a bigger way than any other way. And so like, I remember just dumping boyfriends that treated me badly. And I was like, you're just a loser. You're not going to amount to anything. That's not nice. But then those people set out to prove me wrong, and they actually made themselves into something. And it could possibly be that somebody saying that, me saying that to them, is what caused them to succeed in their life, because they're like, I'll show her. It sounds terrible, but in a life review, you actually just see how all the stuff lines up as absolutely purposeful, and you serving your purpose every single day of your life, every day. So we think, what's my purpose? Well, oddly enough, you see that you served your purpose every single day, whether you thought you did or not. And it's so beautiful. And then the best part is that I really believe I get such a clear sense that the body, no matter where you are, the body goes to a place of rest, restoration, peace, and learning, almost like you get to go and make a plan for the next time, if you want a next time. And when you're ready, you can come back. And you come back with a plan, like, this is what my job's going to be. This is where my parents are going to be. This is where I'm going to live. This is what I want to learn in that life. And it's up to you, which means this life we planned, and it was up to us.
I love that.
So, oh my God, it is so fantastic. And it seems to be everything, like, this is my experience. And so I've tried to, every time I can, if somebody else talks about the idea of somebody passing, I just try to pay attention to make sure that what my experience is accurate to what their experience. So like this woman, Anita Morjani, do you know who she is?
Mm-mm.
She used to, okay, I'm not going to forget his name. She used to tour with the guy from Hawaii who was a really amazing, inspirational guy.
Wayne Dyer?
Yes. Her book is called Dying to Be Me, and it was about her having a near-death experience. And she had a near-death experience, like she had cancer, and then when she went to the other side, her ancestors said, no, you got to go back. Now is not your time. So then she went back with more information and a new life plan. And then when she was telling about her experience, it was exactly what I knew is happening to the people that I helped pass. And it's just the most beautiful thing. It is such a great honor to just, no matter what a person's life is like, they have the opportunity to up level because of the lessons they learned, or come back and learn the same lessons if they felt like they didn't learn them.
I love that. You talked about Metatron earlier. I am a Reiki master teacher too. Like, I've done Reiki, Karuna Reiki, Fairy Reiki, and now I do Angel Reiki. Angelic Reiki is like a big part, which Metatron gave us from Atlantis. And so the Angelic Reiki actually has a death and dying level to it, where Reiki practitioners can go and help people. So I love the death and dying. I'm going to be offering that next year. So been stepping into some of that with Metatron, showing the way. So we have some parallels here, Becky.
I love it. I love it.
So it's pretty cool. And yeah. And so next year I'm offering one of the Angelic Reiki courses as a retreat. So I'm planning to do it in retreat style instead of classroom program style. So we'll see where that goes. But
I'd be really interested to be there. I'd love to join in and experience that. Because no matter how much you know about something, it always feels good to learn and be reminded either about what you know, what you just thought was your own information, but really is real. Because I still doubt my real all the time.
I think we all do, right? People come in and they go, because I teach Akashic, I teach readers, I teach Angelic Reiki. I have so many classes I teach. And so people stepping onto this path, they're like, well, I question. I said, I don't question myself as much. And I've been doing this for years. I think that's part of our human experience, is to be able to do that, right? It's a big
I think so too. Do you think it's important too? I feel like it's important.
I think it is, and it's part of our journey and processing. I love the fact that you call it the soul signature. I've always called it the imprint, like an energy imprint. It's always felt like it's somebody's energetic blueprint or imprint. You call it a soul signature, but we're talking about the same thing. I read that blog today too, because I was like, oh, I'm very interested. Talk to us a little bit about your perspective on soul signatures.
Well, I just know that it's undeniable when you experience somebody's soul signature. So one person I actually helped pass. I mean, I never even met the person. I was talking to a friend and she was telling me, oh, I said, oh, how you doing? She said, well, I'm really sad. My friend's dying of brain cancer. And I'm just, our whole friendship group is just devastated. And at the time, this guy was actually contemplating or had signed up for Death with Dignity. I think he's in Seattle or San Francisco, wherever they allow death with dignity. And everybody was critical and judgmental and all this stuff. And she said, and I was like, well, if he doesn't really want to do that, maybe he can get in touch with me and I can help him pass. And so that same day he pops in and he goes, hey, I want to know what you're doing. Not that he was ready, but he said, I want to know. So when I am ready, I can call on you or take myself through this process. And the thing about it is, it's hard to describe, but you know exactly that it's them. Like, I didn't know his name. I didn't know anything about him, and how I could recognize that. And like you said, the energy blueprint or the soul signature, that's hard to believe. It's kind of like when you know that Jesus is in the room and you're like, how do you know? You do, because you recognize the energetic of that soul signature. And it is just the most brilliant thing. And it only comes because of practice and willingness, like, are we blessed to have this capability? Yeah, totally. But anybody has it. You just have to welcome it in, understand what it means, and notice. Okay, the other day too, I was doing this weird healing, and oh my gosh, I was doing this weird healing, and I had like one of my curls that was just going dee, 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 and it was Mother Mary. She's like, know that I'm here. Know that I'm here. Okay. And it's undeniable. That's just the weirdest part. I can't even explain it. It just is undeniable. But I think that's what happens to us when we go to this place and we rejoin source in our, after we make our transition, we rejoin source, we heal, we recover, and we make a plan. And that same connection or collaboration of whatever it is that makes our soul signature can opt into another body for another experience.
Well, and if you think about the energy, if we're not in this physical body, if we're not in this physical vessel, we're energy. And when we go to the other side, we don't have ears to hear, right? It doesn't work the same way. It's about, I recognize that person. It's like today when you meet somebody for the first time and you've never met them, but you have this deep knowing of them.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I love that.
Right. And it's that energy that we're connecting into, that it's like, I don't know how I know you, but I know you. I don't know how I know. And sometimes it's the stories and history or any of that you're like, I don't know why I feel so directly connected to this story, but I feel directly connected to this story and history. Well, I always tell people, well, could that be because you were there? you have an inside track on a soul level of what happened at that time because you were part of that in some way. And they're like, really? And I go, well, you have to think about it that way, right? Because if we're connected, it makes sense that we would be like, oh, really connected to that story.
I love that. You know, it's funny. I went to this QHHT session with Suzanne Spooner, who lives in Des Moines, Iowa. You're probably familiar with that whole thing?
I don't think so.
QHHT. It's the quantum healing hypnosis technique that Dolores Cannon did.
Oh, yes. Now I know what you're talking about.
And Suzanne Spooner is like, you know, a couple rungs down. Dolores's daughter took over, and then Suzanne has been training people. So I was like, I have to go to the best person. I think you said in your video about you want to learn at the highest level. So you did the mystery schools and you did the spiritual things. Like you might as well. I mean, might as well just go to the top. So I went to Suzanne Spooner. It took me a year to get in. And in that session, she told me that sometimes, you know, we kind of like we are indeed oftentimes reincarnations of a soul signature that comes in. But she said sometimes in our pre-incarnation planning, we actually bring in imprints of different soul signatures of people whose skill set we need. So like me being a fashion designer as a young person, well, up until my mid 40s, I had brought in a soul signature of Coco Chanel because I needed to know and have that passion that she had to keep me kind of occupied in that space for that long. Because not that I felt like I was a reincarnation of that person, but part of what she knew and her desire to, you know, stay in that business despite all odds was something I needed to make sure I did that part of my life. And so I told you I grew up Catholic, and now I feel like I'm just like, I don't even hold myself in that box because I've studied all religions and I just love them all because they're the story of human behavior and so interesting to talk about. Well, so in my experience, Jesus and Mary had a daughter, Sarah, and I carry her soul signature. Like she's in me, I can feel her. And she's ready to talk through me and tell me her story of someone who is completely written out of history. Mm-hmm. And weird as it is, I'm not even saying it's true or not. I'm saying in my experience, one of Jesus and Mary's kids is trying to come through to tell her story. And she talks to me and I see her walking me through a temple and sitting down with me and saying, this is one of the things that happened to me. And so it's the weirdest thing because I recognize her soul signature and there's nothing, it's just as real as me knowing that my sister Paula is this person or my husband Trey is this person. It's the same awareness, weirdly enough.
No, I love that, and our connections, right? And who we connect to, and you know, all the beings that have walked with us through many lifetimes. So I love that when we're open to possibilities, we learn so much more than when we're closed and everything has to be this way, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so when we can open up, we have lots more possibilities. So I want to hear about your book. Tell me about your book.
Oh, okay. I love this question, of course. So my book is Life Transformed: 6 Steps to a Future Beyond Your Imagination. The whole point is this. I got to the point where I was like, if my future is based on my limited imagination, then I'm in trouble. Because, you know, you asked me what kind of job I am worthy of. I'd give you a list of 5 jobs. And really, I could probably do any job somebody gave me because usually I do a good job on whatever I'm given to do. And so I thought it's got to be something beyond that. I want my future to be something I can't even imagine because it's so fantastic. And so I started writing this as a multi-series blog, and it was called Aligning with Your Higher Self. And I thought, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know why I was writing it. It doesn't even seem like that's what it is. But I was given that title and I kept thinking, should I change it? That doesn't make sense. No one's going to Google, how do I align with my higher self? You know, it's got to be something people Google for them to find it, for it to be valid. Right. So I got a sense of, I was writing these blogs for a reason other than getting people to my website and giving people this information. So then I went to Rhythmia, and I then came back and decided, oh my gosh, this has to be a book. So I wrote the book, and then I went back to this Costa Rican thing and spent a week with Greg Braden. Do you know who Greg Braden is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, magnificent person, thought leader, magnificent, just unbelievable. And what he did is, for a week, he presented to the people gathered there all the science behind everything in my book. And it was almost like it was a gift for me to have put down all the information that I knew intuitively into the book before I heard from him. Because if I had heard this from him, I would have thought he already wrote that book. So what I did is then I took the information, the examples that he presented, and I worked his information in. And he works closely with Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart and these people that are really doing the science behind what it is the same belief system. And so you hear people say, oh, love yourself, make a plan for your future, and it's hard to do that. Like, you kind of need people to give you suggestions and hold your hand while you're walking through it. It's a lot of work. So that's what the book became. And just recently, okay, so I mean, like 2 days ago, I don't know about you, but books pop into my life when exactly at the right time. And some of them have been written a long time ago. So this book, A Course of Love, which is a companion to the Course of Miracles, if you know that. Okay, in it says, which I've never read anything about, it says, beyond imagination is the spark that allows you to conceive of what never was conceived before. This spark is inspiration, the infusion of spirit. And I was surprised, because every time I say beyond your imagination, I think people are just like, what? But that's about inspiration. It's about opening yourself up to something that you wouldn't even know to think of, because we only know what we know based on what has come into our existence so far.
Right.
So the book kind of takes you through the 6 steps, which is know thyself. You're good, the things you're good at. Know thyself, the things you're bad at, like that are not good. Heal thyself. Figure out what your must-haves are. And that is about determining what it is, kind of like GPS coordinates of your life. So the first part is about who are you and how can I heal myself? The second part is building the GPS coordinates for your future based on parameters that you give the universe, but not closed definers. So you're not trying to necessarily define, but we do know some things that we know. Like, okay, so this is the best, probably the most significant example. I've been raped twice in my life, and it was awful. And so important also, because it got me to stop taking, like, I was dating just people that wanted to date me, because I was just busy, getting through college, paying my own way, doing all the things I was interested in doing, less so important, like interested in dating or cared about that so much. And so I would just date whoever asked me. Well, that was not good. That led to some really bad circumstances. And at a certain, after the second time, I'm like, no more of this. I actually at the time was actively praying to, the God with the white beard and the white hair in the sky. And I was like, God, don't send me another man again, unless they open my car door, they pay for everything, and they're as passionate about what they do as I am about what I do. And it was in the 80s where women's equality and women's liberation, all that stuff was big. So, to say I want a man to pay for everything sounds horrible, except I was paying for all my dates. And I was the one making all the money because I had to pay my own way. So I had to have 3 jobs and, live within my means and all this. I had to really work to make that happen. And then I'd be dating these guys whose parents were paying and they didn't have any money. So if we wanted to do anything, I'd have to pay. And I'd be like, no, this is not right. But what happened then is, no, I didn't have anybody come apart. I didn't have any dates. I just kind of healed myself. And about 6 months later, I went out on a date with this guy, and he pulled up in the grossest car you could imagine. And he opened my car door. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And we went out and he like swiped the bill and he made sure he paid. And then he was talking about engineering as kind of like I talked about fashion design, as though it was the most important thing in the world. And I knew that was like the gift. That, you know, those are the only things that really, really mattered to me. And voila, they showed up. And we've been married for like 34 years. So
I love
think
that.
that's what it is. It's like determining, putting out there what you do know, knowing that if that's, you know, as long as that's accurate, like if you say, I want a guy who's tall, dark, and handsome, yes, maybe, but we all know that's not such a good idea to put it, you know, that being the only parameters of a, you know, a potential mate. So I don't know, the whole book, it takes you through the process of determining these aspects of your life, like 9 different aspects based on the Bagua, the Chinese Bagua, and then figuring out what you want in each of those aspects. And putting some guidelines to it, and then writing intention statements for already having those things. So like, so that, you know, like say you don't, well, in fact, when I wrote the book, oh my God, it was so interesting. When I wrote the book, I didn't have the job that I have now. Okay, I'm trying to find where my thing is. I hope I find it. Yeah, I'm not finding it. Oh, come on, I just have to find this. Okay, so here was what I wrote for my career. I said, rather than work, I'm in service of God. I love what I do and well compensated and respected for it. I get to share my skills and knowledge for the greater good and have an international impact. And so I'm giving some parameters, but not really defining anything too closed, because what I'm capable of is far greater than what I would imagine I'm capable of.
Right, right.
So the book is like a kind of a workbook taking you through the process of really designing your life for the future that you want, beyond what you would imagine you would be willing, like, no, that you'd be worthy of, capable of, or just that you can imagine is even possible.
I think that's amazing. And what the viewers may not know is you're also a business coach. So you also coach people on their businesses. And I just share what you do today, because people may not be aware of, you know, MSU and your, you know, connection there and what you do. I'd love to hear about that as well.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I'm so lucky because I know you were a professor also. And where did you teach?
I taught at University of Phoenix, Westward College, and National University, and all 3 of those have closed here in Denver.
Oh
They've moved their campuses out. Right about the time I wanted to open my spiritual center, I was teaching at all 3 of those schools, and one by one, they started eliminating their campuses and their programs.
Oh yeah, same exact thing happened to me, because I worked at the Art Institute and Johnson & Wales. They both closed. So this came up. I teach entrepreneurship at MSU Denver, and so I feel like as an umbrella, what I do is I help people create what's in their heart to create. And I do that through life planning and through business planning. And really what's so amazing is when you're starting a business, you need to take a deep dive into what you want in your life, because it's way too much work. I mean, it's like, think about your situation where everything had to change. Like you had to make a huge lifestyle decision when you shifted into doing this full time. And this is what happens. Like for most people have to do that. You know, they probably won't make that much money right away. And then, you know, they have to figure out how much money they do need to make in order to make it a feasible business, and how long is it going to take to get there, and all the things. So the business planning is first really starts with figuring out, knowing yourself, essentially, moving past the barriers that will likely cause you trouble. And one of the biggest is people's relationship to money. If you're like, oh, I don't need money, it won't come your way. You need to be a partner with money and see it as the facilitator of this brilliant idea you have. It's a partnership. Money is a partnership. You need each other, because the universe wants you to make money, because then you'll spend it in a good way. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do that. And what's really cool is our school has this program called Launch Denver, and it's a free program for anybody that wants to do it. And it's a 9-week how to start a business class. And we've been doing kind of partially online. It was all online for a couple of seasons, and now we're doing sort of half in person, half online. But it really it takes you through the business plan business plan process, where you write a business plan, and then you come up with a pitch and meet other entrepreneurs and learn about financials and how much you need to bring in order to make it a feasible business, so that's the only thing you do. It's a cool thing, and I get to teach that, which gets me outside of the traditional classroom and actually gets me into our amazing environment or population of people in Denver, because we are so diverse. But since it's, like, you can access it online, it could be anywhere that people take this program.
I would love to have that information, because they get new spiritual business owners trying to figure all this out. They have no idea what it takes to run a business. And in their mind, they're going to take their passion, they're going to apply it, they're going to make money at it, they're going to quit their job, and they're going to be successful tomorrow. Doesn't work that way.
I know it. Well, now in fact, this is so good. I would love to, I do this thing called Women's Entrepreneurship Week, and I would love to have you come and talk about what it took for you to build your spiritual center. And then you could post it on your website too, because people need to know. They need to know that it takes a while.
They do. And I don't know that you're aware of this, Becky, but I opened in 2017. 2019, we were flooded. We went through a natural disaster in the building. And so my insurance didn't cover what we lost, and the building had to re-put it up. So my business was closed for 9 months. So guess what? I got to start all over in 2020. So I'm building the foundation again. So completely starting over, because it is hard to maintain a business that's closed for 9 months.
Oh, no doubt. Oh my gosh. And then COVID.
And then COVID in the middle of all of it. It's like, really, universe, what are you doing to me? But yeah, I would love to come and talk, because I'm very passionate and driven. I mean, this is kind of my love. And so I'm rebuilding again. So we're in that place where we're starting to level out again, which all businesses do, but you don't come out of the gate level. It takes a while. And people think, oh, I'm just going to step in and people are going to call me and they're going to schedule appointments and they're going to come and shop. And it's like, it takes a little while to do that.
Yeah, it does. Hey, one of the things too, okay, so today we were talking about ethics, because, we talk about human resources, all the HR stuff, we talk about all the business things. Well, with entrepreneurship, you have to address all the functional aspects of business, just a little bit. So today we were talking about ethics, and we were talking about factories in Bangladesh who, we as Americans buy cheap clothes, have our clothes made over in Bangladesh. And there are terrible tragedies that happen over there. this building that collapsed killed 1,000 people, and just really bad mistreatment. And we were trying to figure out, what would a company do if their product was found in one of these facilities. And this kid said, well, I'm not God, so what can I do? I mean, what can I even do? And I said, well, what if you're an aspect of God, and the purpose of you being here is to be God-like and do something as though you are, like what would it used to be, WWJD, WWGD, what would God do? I actually said that in the class, and I think people were like, what? But truly, like, even if you don't believe in God, what would you do as a person, an element of this world, and all you can do is something yourself. So what can you do? First, maybe you could stop buying cheap clothes. We all can do something, because he was just kind of collapsing into this, I can't do anything. There's nothing I could do. It's a bigger problem than I can handle. And I was like, or maybe you can, because maybe you are an aspect of God. So sometimes I worry about getting to keep my job, because people are going to be like, you're a little wacky, because it kind of seeps in my whole, understanding of religion, and how it kind of seeps into, well, it's important because we've got all kinds of religions in our classrooms and cultures and stuff. So I just feel like it's important to respect all the things and all the realities and all the possibilities too.
Well, and ethics is so broad, right? And so, you bring up ethics and business, right? So I've decided lately, I'm not buying any more paper bags. I'm not buying any more plastic bags for the store. And my staff's like, what do you mean? And I go, they can buy a reusable bag for $3.99, or they can carry it out. Well, what are our customers going to do? They'll adapt, right?
Yeah, so bring a bag. We're getting used to that deal.
We're not going to cut down more trees. And so one of my young people in the center, he goes, I have a proposal. What if we still gave paper bags, but we charged a percentage and then we donated it to people to plant trees? I said, but the challenge is how many trees are we going to cut down to make that donation work where the cycle works really well? I said, I just would rather donate to have trees planted and not cut any trees down.
Yeah.
At least minimize the trees that we're cutting down, or at least what I can control, right? Again, I can't solve the whole problem, but I can take little steps. Okay, what little steps can I do? What can I take? What can I do? So I love those conversations where we get to say, okay, this is something I can do myself.
Oh,
Right?
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I know. And in a store, I guess you really have to think of those things and buy product that's sustainable and good-hearted or heart-based from heart-based companies. And I mean, you make decisions every day about who you're going to support in your business.
Well, and we try to do the best we can. You have some limitations, like we sell crystals, and I had somebody come in one day and go, do you know where your crystals come from? How are they mined? And I was like, oh, that's a big question. Right?
Oh, no,
I don't know that I know that, but it's a great question for me to start pondering and thinking about. Where do crystals come from? Because people that love crystals, you can go into one store and pick up a crystal. And how does it feel? I've been in stores where I feel like they're crying, like they're so unloved, so unconnected, so not taken care of. And then go in another store and they're bright and shiny and full of light and love, and right. So
yeah.
you gotta consider both sides. So yeah, those types of business decisions we think about all the time. Are we perfect? No, but we try our best. So talk to me about your shop, your malas. Do you make those?
Oh, you know what? I have a friend that makes them for me, and she's from Nepal, and it's just like every single knot, everything that happens in that has an intention. And she has been making these for me for about 10 years, and I just love them. I love them so much, and they feel so good. The energy is so good in these malas. And then each one of them comes with like a description of what they're good for. So it's like a great gift for somebody. And the problem is I've like so many of them, because every time I get a new one and a new version, I'm like, ooh, I've got to have one of those. And I think what happens, so when I started doing this, I was selling them through another, the people that do Reiki and acupuncture for me, sell them through their store. And so we mostly have them made for their store. And one of them said something like, you don't wear it because it matches your clothes, except the thing that is true, because it always matches my clothes. And so I was like, wait, am I being scolded? And then I thought, actually, in the morning when I dress, what it is I need for that day is somehow supported by the color of the clothing that I have and I'm wearing. And therefore, the mala would also do that. So like today I had on various colors of like kind of blue turquoise, and so my dress is kind of that color. And then the mala that I wore is that color, because I knew I was going to be speaking, and that, that's the color of the throat chakra. So I don't think about, oh, I need to support this area. I just tend to gravitate to those things and those colors that are going to support what work it is I'm doing that day. And so that's the thing about having like a collection of malas that you can go to and say, ooh, this one's the one I should wear today. Oh, this one's the one I should wear today. They are so fantastic. Even if, they're normally a prayer bead, so that you say mantras or whatever you say, you kind of work around the mala and do it like 108 times. But for me, they're semi-precious stones that radiate the energy all throughout your body. Like, it's just amazing. I feel almost naked with that one. Then I also sell these this is, okay, it's hard to, I'll put it up more closely. So this is like a pendant that we had made. It's got, that's the as above, so below symbol. And then the other side is like the image of a Merkaba. And it's made from this guy. We have this guy make these, and he's a uh, forensic silversmith or jeweler. And what that means is he studies what is on jewelry. So they'll call him from a museum or an archaeology site or whatever, and have him determine what this thing is that is made out of metal. Oh yeah, forensics metallurgist is what he calls himself. And so he makes these out of recycled silver. And this is like kind of my symbol of Mary Magdalene. This is what that's for. And I just love it so much. So we sell those two on the site.
I love that. I love that. I love malas. I have tons of them. And I love getting them in the store, having them for people to buy. So I just love malas and having this. So you have a couple on there that I'm interested in. So I may be shopping later.
Oh yeah, I know. I was going to say, I need to have a session with you. That's what I need. Maybe we could do a trade, because I really would love to do that.
I would love to do that and us share. The other thing I was mentioning as you were talking is I've never done retreats. So next year we're going to do two. One's an angelic Reiki retreat. One's a healer's retreat for healers to come and share their wisdom with each other and get re-energized over a weekend. So I'm going to be doing sound healing, talking about sound healing and the different frequencies and what sound is. So I'll send you some information, Becky, if you want to come and join us. I would love that.
It sounds great. I do think that is a magical thing when you can take some time and really focus in and, you know, leave the world behind and come together as a group. There's nothing like the relationships that you build in those spaces.
Nothing like it. And I think healers don't do enough healing themselves, don't take care of themselves really well. And so I really wanted a place where healers could come and heal each other and share their wisdom. So that's what it's going to be all about. And I'm going to end up doing this every year. It's going to be a annual thing that I'm going to do. And I see it getting bigger and bigger every year, but we're going to start small next year and see where it goes. So I will send you an invite and see if you're interested. But yes, we should do some trading and connecting. I think you and I have a lot in common. So I would love that.
Oh, yay. I would love that too. Oh, so good.
So good. So if people wanted to contact you, I'm going to share the website at the bottom. Is that the easiest way for them to contact? How would you like them to get a hold of you if they have questions or want to find out more?
Well, if they want to just email me at Becky@BeckyPrater.com, that's probably the easiest. I mean, you can contact me that way through my website too, but either way works, just sending me email. I mean, it seems, I know we all seem so busy, but you know, it's just not that way. Like, we know when it's our people and we need to communicate with our people.
Right.
And the weird thing about it too is, you know, you might have somebody like I booked an appointment with somebody who I just have this idea is like this big, giant, amazing person who probably has, you know, 100,000 followers or more. And I was able to get in next week, miraculously. So, you know, if it's supposed to happen, it does happen.
It does.
Yeah. And so I just think that's important. And I really think we need to be in touch with each other. We need to be there to help each other. That more than anything, you know, if a person, so far, I've never done helping a person pass. I haven't done that for money. And it's because what happens is the minute somebody knows that this is what I do, the soul signature they're connected to comes right in. They're not waiting. They're not going to wait for an exchange of money. And it's just the biggest honor. Like, I think about, what is my purpose in life? Well, I have a lot because I've been serving my purpose every day. And I just discovered that, you know, in my ceremony. So that's not like something I knew all my life. But I actually think that is one of the great things that I feel honored to be able to do. But it's not something I necessarily sell as a thing I do, you know?
Well, I look forward to your book on it, because I see a book on it in the future. So okay. I look forward to you writing a book that helps families and people in that process.
Ooh, that would be good. And then I could share, you know, because Okay, I was going to tell you about the soul signature too. So this guy, he's out in San Francisco dying of a brain tumor. He came in, he came to me and said, I'm not ready to go, but I just need to know what you're going to do. So I said, okay, I'm going to just take you through the process, and you'll just know there'll just be a point where you just won't go. And so I kind of walked him through the whole process and did the whole thing as though we were doing it. And afterwards, I felt him say, okay, perfect, I'll be back. So like a couple of months later, maybe 3 months later, my friend said, Laura, we're actually going out to San Francisco because I think he's really close to death, and I think he's ready. And so I knew they were going out on a Friday and they were leaving on a Sunday. And usually it takes the body about 12 hours for their body to like close down after their spirit leaves the body. Mm-hmm. Completely. I mean, the spirit leaves the body and then the body kind of takes its way to close down. So I thought, okay, they're going to leave probably around 5. So I'm going to do this. If I do it in the afternoon on Sunday, then they will be able to see him and all that. And so I called him in and we did our thing, and I never heard anything back from them at all. And I always say, please let me know, because I need to know if this is something that actually is a thing, because I doubt myself every single time. I didn't hear anything. So January is when I usually go to this retreat center in Costa Rica. And I, in my ceremony, said, at that time, I knew his name. Let's say his name is Darren. That's not his name, but I can't remember what his name is. So I was like, hey, what happened to you? Nobody ever told me. And I saw the like most brilliant light, like the most giant, brilliant light ever. And I thought, dude, you like had a miraculous healing. I think you might have healed. I think you totally might have like had a miraculous healing, because nobody said anything to me. And so afterwards I Googled this friend and I was like, what happened to your friend? And she goes, oh, he passed the next day on Monday, the weekend, after, which would be exactly after, 12 hours after I did that process. And I was like, oh my God, I saw him in his healed state in this new space. And it was just like, I don't know how you can explain that. It was like source energy connected to source energy, and I knew it was him in that space. And it was so amazing.
And he's like, thank you for checking in on me. Thank you for checking in, right? Yes. My light. Let me share with you my light. I'm in such a good place, right?
I know. And he said I asked if he had any messages, and I wouldn't say I'm the medium that can do that kind of message exchange, but you know what? He actually did. He said, I'm gonna actively work to find another person that will be a suitable partner for the person that he left. He said, I'm here to do that. So he said, please be open to the idea that somebody else will come in and be with you, because I couldn't be, and that's okay. And it was amazing. And so I was like, texting, just let her know that, like, ooh, hopefully this is okay.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
So good.
Wow, what a wonderful conversation that we've had today. I have so enjoyed it, Becky, and I hope we will stay connected. I'll send you some info. Ask for some info. I'd love to stay connected with you. This has been so much fun. And Nikki will share with you when this is live and ready, so you can share it on your website and your information. So,
well, Violet, this has been so fun for me too. I love talking this talk, and it feels like I don't get to very much.
Right?
So it's really nice. Yeah.
Well, it's nice when you share. I'm lucky enough that we have a community and we can share with each other. When you're kind of out there, you don't kind of have those other people doing the same thing that you get to interact with on a regular basis, like every day, actually. And hey, how are you? And what's going on? So I love when I can connect with people. And
well, yeah, having a store, you're with everybody that walks in your door is on our team, and that must feel great for you.
It is. It's really awesome. So I do love that.
And that Nikki is in there too, because my daughter still thinks I'm really crazy. So
well, I do have a daughter out there that thinks I'm a little out there, but it's nice to have one that's like, because my youngest daughter used to call my oldest daughter and say, should I worry? Mom's blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, no, she's okay. But here lately, she's been teasing me. Maybe I should change my response. And I said, oh, the white coats are coming.
Oh,
no.
Oh,
It's all good. It's part of our journey, and it's nice to have people that support and understand that, definitely. So I
yeah.
love being in that community energy and providing a safe place for our tribe to come and be themselves without concern of what people think and what they're saying, that they can just shine their light and be who they are. So I love
Yeah.
that.
I love that. You know what's encouraging to me too is in my classes, every single class I have, there's at least one person that wants to do a business that's kind of a heart-based sort of coaching business in a way, kind of like what we do.
Uh-huh.
And I'm always so happy to hear that. And then when I say things like, tapping into your own inner knowledge and meditation, people, this generation doesn't say, what, that's stupid. They actually are like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Maybe they don't do it, but there are some people that do, or that we can have a conversation and they understand what it is. So that's progress.
It is. The young people are coming in, really tapped in, right? They really are tapped in and they know what's going on. So that's really, really awesome that we have that. So I love that.
I do too. Oh my gosh.
All right, Miss Becky, thank you so much. Have an amazing day. And we will stay in touch.
Yes, let's please do.
And
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And those watching, thank you for watching this video. Please check out our other videos out on our YouTube channel or on our website. I hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet and how she can help you discover your spiritual gifts, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com and on YouTube at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you really soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Come experience the difference at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.